Greetings, viewers! This is Night welcoming you to the commentary courtroom. You know, sometimes I make really poor decisions. For example, choosing to do a commentary on Lily's glass of water Deus Selk. Okay, to set some context here. Going back to 3 months ago, the internet made a big stink over this ThunderCats reboot named ThunderCats Roar, which is going to come out in 2019. People were either complaining about how it's going to be garbage, or talking about why there would be a big stink to begin with. Then there was another stink cloud about the She-Ra reboot, and how her redesign doesn't make her look like a girl. And most recently, the controversy with Crunchyroll, and their new original series, Guardian Spice. Here's where we enter Lily Orchard, who basically came in, looked around for like a minute, and put together a video calling anyone and everyone who ever talked about any of these topics a screaming man baby. Before I start the actual commentary, I want to point this out. So Lily's original video apparently got flagged, and she posted a temporary edited version of the video with this in the description. This is real, and it is hilariously stupid. Yes, Lily. It was members of the alt-right that flagged your video down. Possibly the same alt-righters who got your original Twitter banned. It's funny. Whenever you get one of your videos flagged, you get super duper salty over it. But false flagging Dr. Wolf's D&D videos because they had Toon Critic in them?
He has no shortage of sycophants that he can set on people in the hopes of intimidating them into silence. This has been his default for years, and he has aggressively refused every attempt to help him become a better creator, a better community member, and a better person. He pretends like this is some kind of difficult situation when it's really not, because it's all about laziness. Personally, I'm done giving Josh and the rest of the community the benefit of the doubt, and if he has to be brute forced into getting off his lazy ass, then so be it. So, in the description, you'll find a link to the most recent episode of Brony D&D. Considering the circumstances, it's advised that you report the video for hateful and abusive content, and also maybe leave a dislike and a critical comment. They all really hate that shit, despite abusing it at every possible opportunity.
Nah, that's perfectly fine. The Doc and Josh just enabling a pedophile, even though they didn't know that Toon Critic was a pedo yet. Okay, enough stalling. Let's get into this.
Hark the herald angels sing, alt-right puns don't know a fucking thing. So, did you hear about the latest outrage about cartoons that aren't out yet? Which one? Good question. One of the biggest tells that someone doesn't have a single smart thing to say about a show is if they pitch a shit fit about it before it even releases. The last few months have been filled with new shows being announced and nerds on the internet losing every last crumb of their shit over them. By now you're probably already aware of Teen Titans Go and the sheer amount of nonsensical outrage that has been filling YouTube about it for literally years, to the point that the Teen Titans movie came out announcing a return to the original Teen Titans, and I can see that going one of two ways. Either A, those with the rose-tinted goggles for Teen Titans will constantly praise it regardless of content and continue stroking the Teen Titans Go hate boner by constantly bringing it up, or B, they'll see more of the show they actually watched and realize that they were throwing their loaded diapers all over YouTube for years over literally fucking nothing.
So I went on the mysterious Mr. Enter's channel and looked for every Teen Titans Go video he made. The most recent being in 2016. The rest were either from 3 or 4 years ago. I'm surprised Enter didn't mention you in his harassment video, Lily. After all, you really like to use him as a straw man for the cartoon community.
But hey, Teen Titans Go's massive crybaby hatedom is old news. These days it's all about the ThunderCats, She-Ra, and Crunchyroll for some fucking reason. ThunderCats Roar was announced and the collective response from the internet was
I noticed that among your videos you claim are from people that were being crybabies about ThunderCats Roar were from Manga Common and Leo Convoy Reviews. I'm just curious, Lily, did you actually watch their videos? Because if you did, Leo calmly pointed out the flaws of this new series. And Common said this.
Yeah. So essentially, ThunderCats got the Teen Titans Go treatment, where the characters become more deformed versions of themselves for the sake of comedy.
Well, let's start small. I'm a ThunderCat, and this is my magic slicing stick.
And much like Teen Titans Go, people who are fans of the original source material are less than happy about the situation, and I completely understand. The bigwigs behind this are taking a property that was considered more mature with a more detail-oriented art style with characters that actually look like, well, people. Well, as far as you can get with cat people. Meow. So yeah, while I do understand why people are upset, there are people who are taking this way out of proportion. They're acting like this is an event on par with a national disaster.
I'll be linking Comment's video, as well as all three of Leah's videos, in the description. Now, I can't speak in defense of everyone who made a video about TCR, but saying all of the videos talking about it were nothing but people throwing a baby fit over it, Lily, that comes off as you being intentionally intellectually dishonest. Try saying that 5 times fast.
None of this was helped by the fact that in 2011, the ThunderCats saw a new series that laughably tried to take itself seriously and became part of the then trend of cartoons going, "Please let us be the next Avatar." It certainly looked like the creative team had a lot of passion and cared about what they were making, but they chose the wrong property and bit off way more than they could possibly chew.
Yeah, you're gonna explain how the creators bit off more than they could chew? Nope. Well, let me hazard a guess here. When the 2011 reboot was going on, it aired on Adult Swim's Toonami block. And if you know anything about Adult Swim, they just love running reruns of Seth MacFarlane shows. And the ThunderCats Roar reboot was run at either 11:30 or 12 in the morning. And really, what reasonable person is going to stay awake that long to watch cartoons? It was a poor time slot which hurt the show's ratings. Again, this is just me guessing, but it feels like a fairly good guess, considering low viewership and poor ratings can lead to a show's cancellation.
Despite the avalanche of videos on the subject, all anybody could really do was whine ineffectually about the art style because it looks vaguely like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe, and dipshit animation buffs are convinced that there's some kind of conspiracy about CalArt style, because when you run out of lore to smack into a wiki, the only recourse left is to either get better at doing animation criticism or just turn into fucking Alex Jones.
So, let's do a rundown really quick. As of Friday, ThunderCats was number 3 trending on Twitter. Warner Brothers unlisted the promotional video for it, and the ThunderCats community as well as general cartoon communities are giving very strongly negative opinions on it. But you're probably wondering what my opinion is, aren't you? Well, here it is. Warner Brothers has shown nothing but a complete failure at handling anything related to ThunderCats. This is no different. But of course, I'm not just going to sit there and tell you that I don't like it. I'm going to tell you exactly why, as well as deconstruct some of the more ridiculous claims I've seen. First off, the art style just comes off as lazy. I know, that's a pretty plain complaint, but it's true. Little detail, extremely simplistic designs, and they really don't pass the squint test. See this? This is the original Lion-O. His name as well as alien species denotes that he's lion-like. And you can see that in the color patterns on him, specifically around the eyes and the mouth. You can even say that of the reboot from 2011, even though it's to a lesser extent. This new one, he literally looks nothing like a cat. He looks like a goblin.
Yeah, he really strikes me as being on the same level as a guy who screams about gay frogs.
There yet? No. Over there yet? No. Over there yet? No. Over there yet? No.
Unfortunately, the people who are simply too stupid to grasp what their favorite shows are actually about is just the tip of the iceberg. It isn't just Star Trek Discovery and ThunderCats Roar throwing the internet into a feeding frenzy. Just very recently, there have been 2 outrages over the reboot of She-Ra and an original series from Crunchyroll that have far less hilarious origins. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is set to come out in mid-November on Netflix, and its announcement set the internet ablaze for one reason. She-Ra doesn't have cleavage. No, seriously. She-Ra in the 80s was basically 80s glam made manifest and looked like an anime rendition of a Norse Valkyrie. In the reboot, She-Ra is considerably younger, and the designers have ditched the strapless top for an actual chest plate, and like any well-designed chest plate, it doesn't display a person's breast because it's made of metal and breasts are made of squishy tissue. Fans, and I use the term extremely loosely here, of the old She-Ra were livid that one of their 90 billion pieces of wank fodder had been made considerably less sexy and pitched a shit fit about it on Twitter, claiming that the new She-Ra looked like a boy, that the creators were being selfish, and a few trying to spin it as the concept artist hating femininity and trying to at least pretend it was about anything other than losing masturbation fuel.
Okay, I can agree with you that people making a stink of a She-Ra looking a dude in drag was dumb. However, I can also understand why people thought Netflix was going to screw She-Ra over. They don't exactly have the best track record. Considering their own original movies, or live adaptations of anime like Death Note or Full Metal Alchemist. Everyone had misgivings about these two movies. And ultimately, one felt like it was trying to be its own thing, but it had its own issues that hurt it, and the other was nothing but pandering garbage.
What the aging man-children either don't grasp or don't care about is that the new She-Ra is aimed at children and teenagers, not older fans, and this seems to be something that a lot of older fans of old cartoons don't quite grasp. Reboots of old properties aren't being made for you, they're being made for children today. DVD releases are made for you, so the concerns of adult fans don't reach their ears, and they really shouldn't because they're often extremely small in number when compared to a potential real demographic. This selfish entitlement is found in nearly every adult cartoon fandom. Of the YouTubers who analyze friendship as magic, it seems I'm the only one concerned about the well-being and entertainment value of the primary demographic, children.
Maybe you try to insert a political or social narrative. Maybe you do a glass of water on MLP. Politics is generally something kids don't care about. I've also heard you equate the homeworld arc from Steven Universe to Nazism or white supremacy. If anything, it feels like you let your political hang-ups get in the way of what's meant to be fun and simple storytelling.
Lastly, we come to High Guardian Spice, an original series from Crunchyroll whose initial announcement trailer showed some storyboards and the creators talking about how proud they are of their diverse show crew.
What diversity? Nearly everyone in this trailer appear to be white women in their late 20s or early 30s. Yeah, they got some real diversity going on there.
Nothing really positive or negative about it, just some concepts and an admission that their staff meets a bare minimum standard of professionalism. But that didn't stop the tears! You see, if Western cartoon fandom has a man-child problem, Japanese cartoons are almost entirely surviving off their man-child problem. And this announcement was met with a torrent of sobbing and whining from people who think Crunchyroll is breaking their promise that the subscription fee is going to support the anime industry and tacitly ignoring that Crunchyroll has investors, sponsorships, and a parent company that they get additional funding from.
There's also the fact that many don't consider Crunchyroll to be a good streaming site. Crunchyroll disabled the ratings and comments for their trailer. Oh yeah, and the comment pointed out that one of the people on their staff is very anti-male.
Another factor is Kate Leigh. Leith. Blah, 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 blah. I'm probably butchering her name, I don't care. This lady. Okay, let's ignore that she worked at Big Dog Marvel and the book she was working on, Hellcat, got canned really quickly. Let's talk about how she's a man-hater!
A lot of her previous tweets, but
Now, most of these tweets are actually deleted, but you can actually find them if you use the Wayback Machine.
Also, all the trailer did was promote the staff. They said barely anything about the show itself, and what they did say felt painfully generic. No one knows if High Guardian Spice is going to be worth watching or not. I remember back when advertisements for the live-action Beauty and the Beast came out, and all I heard was that LeFou, Gaston's incompetent little sidekick from the cartoon version, was gay. I don't recall anything that prompted this reveal. LeFou being gay didn't have any prominent significance to the movie, and it could have been seen as people behind the movie having so little confidence in the story they were trying to tell that if they didn't appeal to a specific minority, then it was likely that people wouldn't watch the movie. In the case of High Guardian Spice here, it felt like they cared more about saying, hey, we have a lot of women on our staff, than anything else. Even though women have been part of the anime industry as far back as the 1970s.
I'm not exactly why the cyber Nazis hate women with short, brightly colored hair, but it's probably for stupid reasons. The nadir of this whole shit show is DigiBro, a former MLP YouTuber turned creepy anime cave dweller, who was last seen expressing disappointment that Patreon banned incest, bestiality, and child pornography.
Legit question. What does Digi being so entitled and high on his own farts have to do with any of this? Legit answer. You just want to act like he represents the entire anime community, even though he started falling out of popularity over there, like maybe a year or two after joining. Because, like I said earlier, Digi's entitled and gets high on his own farts.
DigiBro has derided High Guardian Spice as Tumblr the anime, which is especially telling that it's entirely due to the creators saying the word diversity in their announcement that set him off, and all the other complaints are fished out of a hat to sound less reactionary than it actually is.
No, he was annoyed that the site was hosting football, and a really boring white guy sitting around talking about nothing, when Crunchyroll is meant to be a site to go to for anime. He also pointed out that despite Crunchyroll saying that they give money to the anime industry, they seem to be sinking it into flying people out to to anime conventions and High Guardian Spice.
I don't buy the excuse that they're just upset that it's not a genuine Japanese cartoon, because most of these deranged fuckers like Ruby, and that's made by Americans as well. And Ruby is even on Crunchyroll. You're not fooling anyone, you stupid sacks of shit.
And yet I've seen videos talking about how Ruby was flawed to begin with, and it's been going downhill since Volume 3 since last year. Are you saying that anime fans are just automatically going to love anything that remotely resembles anime, despite the level of quality? Next thing you'll tell me is anime fans blindly love Yandere Simulator, despite the fact that dev's work ethic and programming skills suck.
You see, unlike ThunderCats Roar, High Guardian Spice was just announced with no other material. It's impossible to know what the quality of the show is going to be, or what the content is going to be.
Yep, and that's the whole problem. And yet you still want to go with this narrative. Huh.
But to the knee-jerk crybabies who make up something like 90% of the fans of Japanese cartoons, they just heard the word diversity and just got sent into a torrent of absolutely inconsolable bawling. Similarly to how it was rumored that G5 of My Little Pony would have Applejack voiced by a black voice actress, and Equestria Daily had a fucking meltdown about it. Or when Hasbro posted a Pride tweet on the very last day of Pride Month and they had yet another meltdown about it. Rip the sheet off and you'll see what's actually underneath. A bunch of conservative troglodytes losing their shit over the possibility that a cartoon is going to be progressive based on literally fucking nothing.
Even though Common said he likes shows with diversity. Really, the reason I keep bringing up Common here is because you keep showing the thumbnail for his video, as if his opinion is the de facto one for everyone who talked about High Guardian Spice. Also, nice derailment, Lily. Bitching about anime fans 1 minute, bitching about Bronies the next.
A diverse crew is not a guarantee of quality. Steven Universe has a diverse crew, and half its runtime is spent begging the viewer to feel sorry for the genocidal space fascists.
I direct you back to my earlier statement about Steven Universe. Also, I don't think I didn't catch that, Lily. So people can't complain about High Guardian Spice because diversity. But you can complain about Steven Universe, despite that show having a diverse cast and crew. Because fascism.
These are people who willingly work for Crunchyroll, so there's a good chance that they have the same standards for quality as much of the fandom for Japanese cartoons has. Fucking none. But even if High Guardian Spice did turn out to be super progressive, that wouldn't justify the pathetic shrieking of these sad sacks of shit, because their thin-skinned tantrums about the increasing visibility of women, minorities, and LGBT is an obsolete value, and they need to fuck off from civilized society forever.
Show me the clip of the video where someone complained about all those things. Give me a name. Otherwise, I'm left to assume that you're just pulling all this out of your OC's oversized hair.
If you think you have legitimate criticisms of these shows, shut the fuck up. You don't. None of these shows have aired yet, and you're an idiot if you think you could predict what's going to happen in it. You don't have enough information to have an informed opinion on them. You're just another conservative snowflake.
What a beautiful note to go out on. Really? People should just shut up because they don't have legit criticisms about a show that may or may not be flawed. Really, that's like telling people not to have an opinion. Which is ironic because you've fed your audience a whole bunch of baloney about how you can respect that people have their own opinions. You know, I legit thought I could go the whole of 2018 without doing a commentary on Lily. I'd watch videos where she spits venom at people she dislikes, and get a good laugh at how she's been more and more open about her disdain for the brony fandom, despite Josh Scorcher being the only reason anyone in the fandom knew she existed to begin with, but This has to be the first video she put out this year that I actually felt deserved a response. And that's mainly because she speaks out of ignorance half the time in this video. Towards the end, it legit feels like she got mad that people were talking about diversity, but couldn't justify doing a video on High Guardian Spice alone. I think what bugs me the most is this ask and respond from her Tumblr.
I never mentioned Manga Kamen or talked about him. I only showed his video's thumbnail and title. The string of videos is for the viewer to get an idea of what a video that isn't worth looking at looks like on the surface. So if the title of his video is "Ma Diversity" and the thumbnail says "Ma Representation" with a close-up on the exact same staff member that the alt-right is pitching a shit fit about, then that's a rod he created for his down back. Don't do shit like this, you stupid ass. Also, don't make an entire 12-minute video complaining that a single announcement trailer didn't focus enough on the story, and then expect other people to not immediately see what you're actually crying about.
So you're telling people not to so much as watch a video and judge it simply based on the thumbnail? Where have I heard that mentality before? Lily, the minute I saw the thumbnail for your video, I told myself it was likely to be bad. but I watched to see if my suspicions would be confirmed, and sadly they were. If Common should have expected people to argue with his video, you should have expected people like the Brilliant Donuts, FNGR, Not a Vampire, and myself to respond. I know Lily and her fans aren't going to listen, but despite that, this has been Night saying thanks for your time, and please share your thoughts with me.